Hello, guys. I am Shane Davis, 20-year comic book veteran. I'm here with another beautiful, lovely. Sometimes she will make me a sandwich if I'm lucky. I'm Shane Davis, and this is Yanzi Lynn. And here today we are to talk about Dark Horse Comics putting themselves on the market as the comic book industry burns up in flames. So yeah, the news is Dark Horse Comics in the great big IP race. It's kind of like an IP race. That doesn't mean I'm peeing, guys. Drum roll, please. That means IP race, intellectual property. This is an interesting time. There's two things happening right now. There's titanic shifts in streaming service in the entertainment field, and then there is intellectual properties. And who is so lucky to have gobbled up libraries of characters and stories developed and plot twists and resolutions, action, all this stuff? The comic book companies. So there's this interesting because with the basically the streaming services taking over the whole, whatever entertainment industry, they really didn't put in a lot of production time. COVID kind of caught every movie into every movie company, every movie production, like it sandbagged them. They're like, oh my God, now we have to make a 2 hour movie to a 4 hour movie format. It wasn't really meant to be that. We saw that with the Snyder Cut, which obviously that was what it was. We've seen that with what was that, Army of the Dead? Was that it? This
Yeah,
Snyder
the whole
Netflix thing?
Snyder thing. Wasn't there
Yeah,
there was a sequel made too, and then people just didn't really care about it anymore. So it's like I don't
yeah.
know, maybe the comic book genre is just kind of fading away at this point. But good news for people who are interested in Dark Horse's properties, because Dark Horse is not really what you call a superhero comic company, so maybe they will have slightly different fortunes, I guess.
And at first glance, at investors, they probably see this as like a big, big shining property. And I'm not saying it's not, but I'm going to explain down in this video. So please, hit like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. What the ins and outs are of Dark Horse Comics. Why it's not as valuable as a company as you would think. Now, at first glance, you think Hellboy, you think Sin City, maybe you think Shaolin Cowboy. Maybe you think Big Guy and Rusty. You think of all these things, and you're like, Umbrella Academy is one of them. That was on Netflix. That's a streaming thing. That's a Dark Horse thing. There's also the movie Polar, which is on Netflix, which is also printed by Dark Horse. These are two good examples where I'm going with this. You would think, like, oh, I get all that. We'll get Hellboy. Not necessarily. Hold your horses. You will get the rights, and I do mean this, you will get the rights basically for them to produce a Hellboy thing. But Mike Mignola is the owner of Hellboy. So it's actually, you don't randomly, you don't automatically get Hellboy. You're not automatically going to get the rights to make a Sin City TV show or a streaming show. Now, in all likelihood, Frank Miller will take the money. All likelihood, maybe Mike Mignola will. But really, the only thing Dark Horse has acquired is the production rights. Now, for some of the creator-owned stuff, which is actually the only thing Dark Horse owns, and Dark Horse Comics has been, beaten almost to death by, Disney, taking away things such as Star Wars away from them. And then when they acquired Fox, they took away Aliens and Predator from Dark Horse, which they had been publishing for almost like off and on for like 15 to 20 years. So as a comic book company, they did invest a little bit in creator owned. They did lean on licensed properties, and they did fairly well with it. But the creator owned stuff, it's not as big of a portfolio piece as you would think, because in the end, the actual ability to even do anything with these characters lies with the creators, not the company. So what Dark Horse did when they were handing out these creator owned options, and keep in mind some of this predates Image, and they were giving money in advance to produce these books, is they were acquiring the ability to be producers if anything was to ever go into any type of development. Now, the owner of Dark Comics, he had invested in some movies in the 90s. So he's always had like a prospect for Hollywood. So for him, this is a good day. Now, why is this happening? Why would anybody be interested in Dark Horse Comics? Well, Disney owns pretty much all the intellectual properties right now, and the other half of the field, Batman, Superman, Harry Potter, things like that, is owned by their competitor. So any type of new intellectual properties that any type of upcoming streaming service, whether it's Peacock, whether it's Hulu, whether it's Apple TV, any of these people, if they want just a bucket load of research and development material, it does at first glance look like buying a comic book company makes a lot of sense. Now, we saw this with Valiant Comics. Valiant was bought by a Chinese investor, correct?
Yeah, they were bought by a Chinese investor, and just so people are aware, though, Dark Horse is actually partially owned by a Chinese company too. There are all these other extra fingers in the background tugging on these puppet strings, so you never know why the sales is being triggered exactly.
See, like a Hellboy type of, I don't know, like streaming a TV series could be good. Could be done. Could it be Netflix? I mean, Netflix kind of bought the Millerverse. Could Netflix be buying up Dark Horse? I don't know.
It is possible that they will be interested in acquiring Dark Horse. After all, they did make it. They were quite successful with Umbrella Academy, right? And Polar was quite critically acclaimed too on Netflix. So I think they definitely see the value of all these stuff. Now we know that the whole Jupiter thing with the Millerverse didn't really work out so well. But
Yeah.
then Super Crooks is doing pretty well. So a couple of misses, but generating more hits than misses with Netflix with all these comic properties. So I can definitely see them interested in acquiring Dark Horse. I do not know if there are any other companies that have pockets as deep as Netflix right now to acquire all these properties. So
I
maybe
would think,
Amazon, but
well, I would
Amazon
think,
has The Boys, but
yeah.
that's about it, right? The Boys, Invincible.
And Amazon's also developing their own comic material with Scott Snyder. So like I don't know if they would just be looking to buy up stuff. I wouldn't. I would say Dark Amazon, if I had to bet, it would be Amazon and Apple. Those would be the two big spenders. Well, no, three. Count Netflix in there. I would say Netflix, and then Amazon, then Apple. Now this is all speculation. You know, sources inside that they're privileged to this sell off. That there's already been some motions on this. Now the trick is will this be a complete sell off like the whole comic book company itself? And as we know, and we've seen this with Marvel and DC and whatnot, when big companies come in and buy a comic book company, they basically legally buy the comic book company just so they acquire all the material. And in the case of Dark Horse, that's not exactly what's going to happen here. They're not. They're just going to own the production rights to certain things and the reproduction rights of Hellboy, Sin City, and so on and so forth. But what's interesting with this one is because there's so much creator-owned material that is dictated by what the creators will and will not do with the properties. Like Dark Horse can't just do Hellboy stuff without Mike Mignola. They can't just do Sin City stuff without Frank Miller. It's at their discretion. These companies, if a company comes in and buys it up, do they understand that it's almost like they're going to have to respect comics a little bit more because the IP is actually owned by creators in a lot of these cases. Whereas like Marvel and DC, like, you know, these companies like Disney, they bought Marvel not because they're interested in publishing, but they're just interested in all the legality of the intellectual property that comes along with owning the publishing division. And you know, they're on like any day, like, you know, Disney could just have a shareholder meeting and say, we're going to increase profits by, you know, dumping the Marvel Comics division. You know, the Hawkeye's doing bad. We're going to dump the Marvel Comics division. It's not making money. Just to flex in front of shareholders. So I'm always wary about big entertainment companies buying comic book companies. And but look, you know, the intellectual properties, the comics, they're all getting bought out by big companies. So this is a natural progression of things, you know, and creators really are going to have to start investing in their own comics, in their own comic book companies. And like us, look up below, you see that Nine Lives thing shaking there. That is Nine Lives Comics. We are making our own intellectual properties in our own company, and I don't have to worry about being bought out unless because if I do get bought out, it's a big payday. But we're not doing that. We're making comic books. I'm going to leave you guys with the trailer for Inglorious Rex. Go check it out today. Getting ready to hit $239,000 on our second Indiegogo campaign, which is absolutely insane. So I'll leave you guys with this trailer and catch you guys again with another video.
Yeah. me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, I don't know where to begin, All this dirt on my skin, I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a past the doctor. I got a 6 cents for a hostage, so now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power. I got